Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The confidant came to the meeting hall with a loud voice, panting. For a moment, all eyes were on him. What's the matter? Could it be that the news has reached the great Xia dynasty so quickly, and they sent a strong man to the Lu family? That the patriarch of the Wang family asked indifferently. In his opinion, at this time, Qin Feng had already been killed. The reason why his cronies were so excited must be that something more shocking than Qin Feng's death happened. No. The confidant said out of breath, it was Sirius who was killed. What did you say? That the patriarch of the Wang family originally looked indifferent, but after hearing the words, his face suddenly changed, and he said, Sirius was killed. How is it possible? It's true. The confidant confirmed. After Sirius was killed, he was discovered by a person who went to observe Guangling San, and now it has spread throughout the East China Sea. How so? The patriarch of the Wang family had an ugly expression on his face, and he said incredulously, Sirius' plan to infiltrate into the Lu family is absolutely foolproof. Could it be that he made a mistake during the process of killing Qin Feng, and was discovered by the powerful Lu family? That he thinks it's impossible. Sirius is the cultivation base of the first layer of the Purple Mansion realm peak. Killing Qin Feng should be a piece of cake. How could it be possible to be discovered by others in the process of killing Qin Feng? Sirius seems to have died before seeing Qin Feng at all. But the confidant said, the Lu family doesn't know the purpose of Sirius at all, and now Lu Qinzhu is intensively investigating. He was killed before seeing Qin Feng. That the head of the Wang family was even more confused. Don't understand what's going on here. These are the only things that can be investigated now. The confidant said helplessly. In the conference hall, silence fell immediately, and everyone's face was very ugly. They originally thought that the patriarch's plan was foolproof, and they were ready to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, and watch the great Xia royal family destroy the Lu family, but they did not expect such a complete failure. Not only was Sirius dead, but Qin Feng was also unscathed. It may even be revealed that the Wang family was instigating secretly. What should we do now? That the elder of the Wang family said in a deep voice. The plan to kill people with a knife failed, and Lu Ting is going to cross the tribulation of life and death. If he succeeds in crossing the tribulation, no one will be able to stop the development of the Lu family. Not only that, but if Lu Qinzhu investigates again and finds out that they are instigating Sirius, then the Wang family will be completely over. Lu Ting must not be allowed to successfully cross the tribulation. That the patriarch of the Wang family clenched his fists tightly, with a look of madness in his eyes, and said, contact the other three major families, and together stop Lu Tingdu's robbery. Hearing what he said, the elders of the Wang family who were present nodded their heads one after another. Of the 5 major families in the East China Sea, except for the Lu family, absolutely no one wants Lu Ting to live another 100 years, and when Lu Ting was at his most vulnerable, it was their best chance. Afterwards, the head of the Wang family left the meeting hall and went to the other big families in person. The news that Lu Ting was about to cross the catastrophe of life and death quickly spread throughout the East China Sea. Those who knew the news were quite shocked. Lu Ting's luck is so good that he was able to obtain the panacea that prolongs his life for 100 years. The president of the Chamber of Commerce sighed with envy in his eyes. One must know that pills that prolong life for 100 years are very rare. Even in the entire Kanglan domain, there is not a single one. But he didn't expect Lu Ting to be so lucky to get one. If it wasn't for that old fellow Lu Ting who had already eaten the pill, I would have to fight him even if I were desperate. There is a strong man in the early stage of the second layer of Zifu realm who has been hidden for many years and whose lifespan is almost exhausted, who is extremely jealous. Even if there is almost no possibility of success, it is better than waiting to die like this. It's a pity that Lu Ting has already eaten the elixir, and he is about to pass the catastrophe, undoubtedly. Because Lu Ting was about to cross the catastrophe, the entire Lu family became the object of attention in the East China Sea, and all kinds of eyeliners were placed near Xi'an Island. Lu Qinzhu, who learned of the leak, was angry, but also helpless. The divine thunder that day was seen by too many people, and it was difficult to hide it. Because of this, the reason why Lu Qinzhu lurks Sirius to the Lu family is that Sirius wants to harm her uncle Lu Ting. Patriarch, There is an undercurrent surging in the entire Eastern Sea right now. According to reliable news, the powerful members of the several big families who have been closed for many years have all quietly left the closed door. The great elder of the Lu family said slowly. The mountain and rain are about to come and the wind is full of buildings. Lu Qingzhu couldn't help but said, people from the other big families will never want to see my uncle succeed in crossing the robbery. She was very depressed. The powerhouses of the major families, although the strongest are only in the early stage of the second heaven of the Purple Mansion realm, but if they act when Lu Ting crosses the robbery, then Lu Ting will be in danger. Then what do we do? The elder of the Lu family asked worriedly. You go to the other four major families first. Lu Qingzhu didn't panic, and said slowly, try their tone. If necessary, you can promise them some conditions in exchange for them not to intervene in this matter. After all, she is still very capable of governance, and knows what to abandon and what to keep at such a time. It is good. The elder of the Lu family nodded, then left. He wants to go to the major families in person. Lu Qingzhu then ordered the other elders to make specific arrangements for the family powerhouses summoned from various places, and to prepare for defense on the day of Lu Ting's tribulation. After finishing everything, Lu Qingzhu hesitated for a while, and went to the cliff of the back mountain. Qin Feng and Qin Zining are both here on the cliff, looking at the sleeping fox on the rock. Qin Zining instantly liked it. So soft and warm. Qin Zining stroked the little white fox gently, and couldn't help but exclaim, whether it's the little white fox's soft and shiny fur or its frail and boneless body, she can't put it down. What kind of adjective are you? Qin Feng couldn't help frowning. I don't know if there is something wrong with him or this little girl. Uncle Huang, why is she motionless? Is she asleep? Qin Zining gently hugged the little white fox, but found that the little white fox didn't respond. If not there is body temperature and heartbeat, she probably thought that the little white fox was lifeless. It should be some kind of ancient medicine, and the power of the medicine in the body needs to be consumed slowly for a long time. Qin Feng said lightly, he has already observed it with his divine pupil. He even knew exactly what the ancient medicine was, but he didn't make it too clear to Qin Zining. That's it. Qin Zining nodded, then gently put the little white fox back on the rock she climbed on before. I was worried that if I kept holding it, it would affect the little white fox's absorption of the medicine in the body, and at this moment, a figure flew over in the distance. It was Lu Qingzhu. Chapter 73 Thunder Tribulation Comes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Both of you are here. Just right. Seeing Qin Feng and the two, Lu Qingzhu said with a light smile. Auntie, is there something you want to see us for? Hearing this, Qin Feng asked suspiciously. Kindness. Lu Qingzhu nodded, and then said solemnly, I'm afraid you will have to leave Xi'an Island early. Why? Seeing this, Qin Feng asked suspiciously, did something happen to the Lu family? Lu Qingzhu nodded, but he didn't hide anything, but told Qin Feng and Qin Zining what happened recently and what might happen soon. This time, the other big families are probably going to directly tear their skins off with the Lu family. Lu Qingzhu said solemnly, it's fine if uncle succeeds in crossing the robbery, otherwise, the Lu family will be in danger. For your safety, you'd better leave Xi'an Island. Now that the face has been torn apart, after her uncle Lu Tingde failed in the robbery, the other big families will definitely make progress. She didn't expect that Qin Feng and Qin Zining would also be involved. Hearing Lu Qingzhu's words, Qin Zining's face suddenly became serious. During the days we've been here, Auntie has been so kind to us. If we escape at this time, wouldn't it be a bit too cowardly? Qin Feng said slowly. Besides, I'm afraid that all the families and chambers of commerce in the entire East China Sea will laugh at us because of this. He doesn't want to go. Firstly, Lu Qingzhu was really kind to them and treated them like relatives. Secondly, in the past few days, in addition to signing the sheet music in Xi'an Island, he also signed a lot of letters from a strong master of rhythm, which made him feel deeply. After the integration, the level of playing can be said to be skyrocketing. He also wants to stay signed here for a while. That's right, we can't just run away like this. Qin Zining also opened her mouth and said, my cultivation level at the peak of the first layer of the Zifu realm can also help here. During the time she stayed here, she could say that she liked it very much. But it's too dangerous. Lu Qingzhu said worriedly, this is her sister's son and granddaughter, and she doesn't want these two people to be in danger. In that case, even if she died, she would have no face to face her sister. It's just a group of rabble, how dangerous it can be. Qin Feng said indifferently. Lu Qingzhu wanted to say something more, but Qin Zining spoke again, insisting on staying, with a firm tone. Seeing that both Qin Feng and Qin Zining stayed behind, Lu Qingzhu could only nod helplessly. He felt that even if the other big families finally got into the Lu family, they would not dare to publicly embarrass Qin Feng and Qin Zining, and they should be afraid of their identities. You can stay, but if you are in danger, you must hide well, and you must not help. Lu Qingzhu said slowly, because he knew that Qin Feng had no cultivation, so she reminded Qin Zining emphatically that she didn't want Qin Zining to be in danger or get hurt when helping them. Don't worry, Auntie, I will take good care of Zining and prevent her from being in danger. Qin Feng said with a smile. Lu Qingzhu just nodded. After she explained a few more words, he also left. There are still many things in the clan that need her to deal with. As the rumored time of Lu Tingda's life and death calamity got closer and closer, the entire East China Sea calmed down instead, but everyone knows that this is the calm before the storm. The atmosphere in the entire East China Sea was a little tense, and everyone's attention was focused on Xi'an Island. One afternoon, from Xi'an Island, an old man with white beard and hair and a kind face walked out, slowly came to a sea area 50 miles away from Xi'an Island, and looked at the sky quietly. What should come will come. Lu Ting muttered to himself. In his life, he traveled around the mountains and rivers, and he was happy. He hardly studied martial arts seriously. Even if he died today, he would not regret it. The only motivation for him to persevere in crossing the tribulation was for the Lu family. If he knew that the elixir could prolong his life for 100 years and he would have to go through the thunder of life and death, he would never return to the Lu family, or even take it. It's a pity that there is no arrow to turn back. Boom boom. Not long after, the sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds. Among the tumbling dark clouds, there were also streaks of silver thunder. The terrifying avenue coercion made people feel a little suffocated, gives a very powerful feeling of depression. Thunder tribulation. This is the appearance of thunder tribulation. Seeing the dark clouds and rolling thunder in the sky, the voices of exclamation sounded one after another. Countless figures soared into the sky, watching the thunder from afar, shocked by the terrifying coercion of the avenue. They all knew that the legendary thunder tribulation was terrifying, but they didn't expect it to be this terrifying. At the same time, more than a dozen figures exuded a terrifying aura, and they were all farther away. Looking at each other from afar, they are members of the other four major families. There are old antiques who have just left customs, as well as the patriarchs and elders of major families, and the weakest one is the middle stage of the Zifu realm, and the strongest one is already in the early stage of the second heaven of Zifu realm. Looking at the terrifying Lei Hai, I feel that Lu Ting has no chance of surviving without me waiting. That the patriarch of the Qin family was rather gloating. The terrifying degree of this sea of thunder is beyond my imagination. The patriarch of the Wang family said coldly, but since we are all here today, we might as well wait a while. If Lu Ting really shows signs of overcoming the thunder disaster, we will send him a ride. Lu Ting is dead today, no one can save him. The head of the Su family, who had been silent all this time, said indifferently. As soon as this remark came out, the other people also nodded. If it is hard to face it, they are not Lu Ting's opponents with so many people working together, but if they just attacked Lu Ting who was going through the tribulation outside Lei Hai, it would be easy. Crack. At this moment, a thunderous sound shook the heavens and the earth, resounds between heaven and earth. The silver thunder, like a silver snake, fell downwards. Lu Ting below saw this scene. His face was extremely solemn, his hands quickly began to form a mysterious imprint, and at the same time, an extremely astonishing aura fluctuated from his body, swept all over the place. The moment Lu Tingjie came out to imprint, a khaki barrier formed above him. This barrier is a very powerful defensive martial skill, and the khaki yellow runes flowing on it exude astonishing fluctuations. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the first thunderbolt that fell hit the barrier, and a terrifying energy fluctuation erupted. The loud sound made the onlookers tremble. I think this thunder is too scary. The first thunderbolt was carried down by Lu Ting. It was not too difficult, but next. Crack, that the astonishing sound of thunder sounded again. This time, it was no longer a thunderbolt. Hundreds of silver thunderbolts swooped down from the sky like hundreds of silver snakes. It was about to tear Lu Ting into pieces. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom, boom, boom. Hundreds of thunderbolts fell on Lu Ting's condensed barrier, directly covering his barrier completely, and even more astonishing energy fluctuations erupted, swept all over the place. Lu Ting was already very old. He looked as if he could be knocked down by a gust of wind, but in the face of such a terrible thunder, he still stood firm and stood still. Crack, however, this catastrophe was far from over, and a large piece of thunder in the sky fell down again. One wave is stronger than the other. Boom boom. Seeing this, Lu Ting's face was solemn, and he quickly injected all the spiritual energy in his body into the barrier to resist the falling thunder. Violent energy fluctuations, continuous outbreaks. He is like a pine rooted on a cliff. He continued to carry those thunderbolts hard and remained motionless. Hiss. Lu Ting was able to withstand such a terrifying thunder. Seeing this scene, many practitioners who were watching from a distance couldn't help but marvel. When they saw Lei Hai appearing, they thought that Lu Ting would be wiped out after a short time, but they realized that they had underestimated Lu Ting's strength. Relying on his astonishing defensive martial skills, he was able to withstand the terrifying thunder that fell from the sky. Shwa! 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 And at this moment, in the distant sky, suddenly there was a large group of arrows, carrying spiritual fluctuations, bursting towards here, and the target was directed at Lu Ting, who was going through the tribulation. The patriarch of the Wang family couldn't sit still, and let the people of Sirius and Haikao take action. The spirit arrows salvaged from the undersea warships by these Syrians are extremely powerful. Wow! Many practitioners who were watching from a distance were in an uproar. Although they had guessed that someone would attack Lu Ting who had crossed the robbery, they did not expect it to be so fast, and unexpectedly, when they came up, they were all such rare spiritual arrows. It seems that Lu Ting is going to die. A group of pirates, even Sirius is dead, dare to act recklessly here. At this moment, a voice of yelling came from the Lu family. Lu Qingzhu rose into the sky, and she had already prepared for it. With the A Pei in her hand, fiery red spiritual energy surged, like a flame burning, emitting extremely hot fluctuations. Ha! Lu Qingzhu slashed out with a sword, and a sword glow like a flame swept towards those arrows, carrying hot fluctuations and powerful power. After Lu Ting's guidance, she is now at the peak of the first layer of the Zifu realm, and this martial skill is more powerful than before in her hands. Boom boom. Those spiritual arrows and the scorching flame exploded immediately, turning into a large number of burning broken arrows, which fell towards the sea below. Those serious pirates who were shooting arrows in the distance were massacred in the aftermath and turned into blood mist. Lu Qingzhu's heroic appearance fascinated many practitioners. Crack, crack, crack. At this moment, there was sudden applause, and the patriarch of the Wang family smiled and said, as expected of Lu Qingzhu, he has made another breakthrough in such a short period of time, and has reached the peak of the first layer of the Purple Mansion realm. It really impressed me. He walked in the air, took a few steps, and came to a position about 100 feet away from Lu Qingzhu. Beside him, there are more than a dozen figures of patriarchs and strong men of several other big families. Thank you for the compliment. Lu Qingzhu expressed indifference, and said, I never thought that your Wang family is colluding with the serious pirates. When she investigated a few days ago, she was already a little suspicious. Just now I saw those serious and pirates obeying the order of the patriarch of the Wang family, and I finally confirmed it in my heart. Humph. It's not your turn to take care of my royal family's affairs. The patriarch of the Wang family snorted coldly when he heard the words, and said, You should think about it. What should the Lu family do after that old guy Lu Ting failed to cross the tribulation? That while speaking, the astonishing aura fluctuations in his body were released, making no secret of the purpose of this trip. Not only the patriarch of the Wang family, but also more than a dozen other powerhouses have shown their powerful cultivation, and there are 10 people who have reached the first level of the Purple Mansion realm. the others have also reached the peak of the Luanhai realm 9 heavens. Many Donghai cultivators who were watching here were all pale, and they all retreated further away after feeling the tremendous pressure. Are you going to stop Uncle from crossing the robbery? Seeing this, Lu Qingzhu's face was ashen, and said, I'm not afraid that what will happen to you if Uncle succeeds in crossing the robbery. That while she was speaking, more than a dozen figures flew out of the Lu family, except for some of the 9th level of Luanhai realm. There are actually 5 people who are in the middle and peak stages of the 1st level of Zifu realm. The Lu family was already strong, and during this period of time, Lu Qingzhu spent a lot of money and invited some casual practitioners, forming a very large and amazing force. Everyone is ready. Lu Qingzhu, are you talking in your sleep? The patriarch of the Wang family, however, laughed, and said jokingly in his eyes, today, all the powerful members of our 4 major families will come out together. If you can't even kill Lu Ting who is going through the tribulation, then you might as well find a tofu and kill him. The powerhouses of the other major families were also full of jokes and mocking laughter. Even the many cultivators in the East China Sea who were watching couldn't help shaking their heads secretly, feeling that there are so many powerful people from the 4 major families coming out today, and no one can stop them from attacking and killing Lu Ting who is crossing the catastrophe. At this time, someone has already moved, using a powerful movement technique, directly crossing Lu Qingzhu, and going to attack Lu Ting in the Sea of Thunder. Stop him! Lu Qingzhu shouted loudly. Immediately, a strong man from the Lu family went to stop that person, and the 2 sides fought fiercely together, and the other strong men of the 4 major families have also started to move. Their bodies were wrapped in powerful aura, turning into rays of light, and flew towards Leihai. They didn't intend to enter the Sea of Thunder. They planned to attack and kill Lu Ting who was crossing the Sea of Thunder on the outskirts of the Sea of Thunder. Lu Qingzhu and the other strong men also stepped forward to stop these people. Boom, boom, boom. A fierce battle broke out immediately. The collision of auras caused dazzling rays of light to appear in the sky, intimidating. The Luanhai realm Jichangshan practitioners on both sides fought evenly. However, it can be clearly seen that the 6 Zifu realm powerhouses of the Lu family fell into an obvious disadvantage when facing the 10 Zifu realm powerhouses from the 4 major families. In the case of similar cultivation bases, the number of people determines the outcome. Hateful. With his own strength, Lu Qingzhu faced 2 practitioners who were at the peak of the 1st layer of the Purple Mansion realm, and retreated in succession, with a very ugly face. If this continues, they will not be able to stop the patriarch of the Wang family and the others, and at this time, something worse happened, an even more astonishing breath suddenly erupted. Boom boom. The old ancestor of the Qin family, who had been silent for a while, was ready to make a move. In the early days of the 2nd layer of Zifu realm, the terrifying aura far surpassed that of Lu Qingzhu and others. No one has the strength to stop him, and no one can stop him. After a few steps, he came to the edge of Leihai, and looked coldly at Lu Ting who was crossing the tribulation. Brother Lu, don't blame me for being ruthless, you must die today. The ancestor of the Qin family said coldly, while speaking. Above his hands, terrifying spiritual energy surged violently, and 2 whirlwinds actually condensed in his hands, and the whistling sound was extremely terrifying. Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not good. Seeing this, Lu Qingzhu's expression changed. She wanted to stop the ancestor of the Qin family, but before he could get away, he was suppressed by 2 strong men in the 1st level of the Purple Mansion realm. Call. The ancestor of the Qin family made a move, and the 2 whirlwinds in his hands swept towards Lu Ting in the Sea of Thunder, and quickly expanded. Like 2 tornadoes in a blink of an eye, the whole world was filled with the sound of howling ghosts and wolves. Seeing this scene, Lu Ting, who was desperately resisting Lei Jie, changed his face, and he was powerless to resist. Could it be that Lu Ting is going to die now? Seeing this scene, many cultivators who came from Donghai couldn't help saying, from their point of view, the Lu family no longer has a strong man who can stop the ancestors of the Qin family. Great River Sword Intent. And at this moment, a soft drink came. Qin Zining, who had been blocked by Lu Qingzhu and not allowed to show up, made a move at this time. The surging sword Intent, like a river, rushed towards the 2 tornadoes, rumbling wherever it passed. all the cultivators who saw this scene were horrified. They had never seen such a terrifying and pure sword intent. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the river-like sword intent collided with the two tornadoes, causing even more astonishing energy fluctuations. The shattered sword intent and strong wind swept towards the surroundings. How is this possible? Looking at the shattered tornado, the ancestor of the Qin family looked at Qin Zining with a surprised gaze, and said, "You are obviously only at the peak of the first layer of the Purple Mansion realm. How can you shatter the wind that I condensed with a single sword?" He is in the early stage of the second level of Zifu realm. No matter how you say it, he should completely crush Qin Zining. Not only the ancestors of the Qin family, but also the head of the Wang family and others, even Lu Qingzhu, they had known for a long time that Qin Zining possessed astonishing cultivation at such a young age, but they did not expect that Qin Zining was already strong enough to leapfrog to fight. To borrow my uncle's words, nothing is impossible in this world. Qin Zining said coldly. When she had doubts about martial arts, she often heard Qin Feng say this, and she silently remembered it in her heart. What kind of shit emperor uncle? The ancestor of the Qin family laughed loudly, and said, "I tell you, if I want to kill Lu Ting today, you can't stop me." While speaking, he waved his big sleeve, and a broken small cauldron moved towards Qin Zining to suppress it, and it appeared on top of Qin Zining's head in an instant. Although the small cauldron was stained with rust, it exuded a terrible coercion, which made Qin Zining a little unable to bear it, and her face turned pale. What secret treasure is this? Qin Zining was shocked. She found that the aura in her body was about to stop functioning under this coercion. Not only that, but she couldn't move her whole body. The ancestor of the Qin family sneered, but ignored Qin Zining, and prepared to attack Lu Ting in the Sea of Thunder again. Qin Feng on the cliff glanced at the little white fox who was still sleeping, and was speechless. Such a fierce battle outside did not wake up the little white fox, it seems. That later he will take extra care of the little white fox and help it dissolve the medicine in its body. Thinking this way in his heart, Qin Feng took a big step, with a step of hundreds of feet, walking towards the stone wall engraved with Guanglingsan. A long distance, just a few breaths. Everyone here went to watch the battle in the sky. Only Zhao Wuyo, who was about to sit down, was left. Qin Feng quietly sat cross-legged on a rock, and then took out the sapphire guqin. "Little friend, you haven't left yet." Seeing Qin Feng, Zhao Wuyo was surprised, and said, "Hurry up and leave. Lu Tingdu's robbery is about to fail. This place is too dangerous." He hadn't seen Qin Feng these days, and thought that Lu Qingzhu had already asked Qin Feng to leave. Seeing that Qin Feng was still here, he was worried about this future musical genius. Senior's greatest hope in life is to listen to the full Guangling San. Now that Senior is about to sit down, in order to thank Senior for his teaching, this junior specially came here to play the whole Guangling San for Senior. Qin Feng said lightly. While speaking, his fingers wanted to play the piano. The whole chapter of Guangling San. Zhao Wuyo was taken aback when he heard this, and then couldn't help but smiled wryly. For so many years, no one has been able to complete the Guangling San, so how can you play the entire Guangling San? But Qin Feng didn't explain, and slowly flicked the strings. Ding dong. The sound of the piano sounded beautifully, just like mountains and flowing water. Zhao Wuyo's expression changed when he heard the sound of the piano. What a master of rhythm he is. Now Qin Feng's understanding of Guangling San is definitely far above him. He couldn't believe that the person in front of him, some time ago, knew nothing about rhythm, and his technique was extremely clumsy. But today he has reached such a terrifying level, however, although he was extremely shocked in his heart. Zhao Wuyo didn't say anything, because he just wanted to quietly listen to the Guangling San played by Qin Feng. He even believed that he might be able to hear the entire Guangling San from Qin Feng today. In the distant sky, the huge tornado condensed again by the ancestors of the Qin family roared towards Lu Ting, who was in the midst of the thunder calamity, and the power was even more terrifying. "Uncle, be careful." Seeing this, Lu Qingzhu hurriedly shouted. She was powerless to get away, and could only remind Lu Ting. At the same time, her eyes were full of guilt, and she felt that as the head of the family and relatives, she was too incompetent for not being able to save Lu Ting. Humph. Lu Ting is finally dead. Seeing this scene, the patriarch of the Wang family and others sneered. His eyes were full of cruelty and joy. Several of their big families have already torn skins with the Lu family. After blocking Lu Ting's robbery today, they will definitely not stop there. They will definitely go further and carve up the Lu family. Even Lu Ting showed bitterness when he saw the tornado coming, thinking that he must be dead. He desperately fought against the divine thunder in the sky, but he had no strength left. Ding dong. However, at this moment, a zither sound resounded through the world, like a fairy sound, clearly reaching everyone's ears. Everyone was horrified, feeling that this fairy sound was like the sound of nature, and it should not exist in the world at all. Boom. At this moment, the tornado that had already entered the range of thunder tribulation and was attacking and killing Lu Ting instantly shattered under the sound of the piano. Countless astral winds dissipated between the sky and the earth, as if it never existed. What's the situation? Listening to this fairy sound like the sound of heaven, and seeing the tornado that collapsed in an instant, everyone looked incredible, shocked, dumbfounded. Chapter 76. This song should only be found in the sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What's going on? Looking at the sudden collapse of the tornado, the face of the ancestor of the Qin family, which was originally full of cruelty and coldness, was now full of shock and inconceivable, incomparably horrified. That was the tornado that he had exhausted most of the spiritual energy in his body, and it was shattered so easily by this piano sound. What kind of character is playing it? Guangling San. This is someone playing Guangling San, a person with the same temperament exclaimed, because Qin Feng's comprehension of Guangling San surpassed all others. The Guangling San he played was very different from what they usually heard. They were stunned for a moment before they heard it. A zither sound of Guangling San shattered such a powerful martial skill of the ancestor of the Qin family. Who is playing it? The ancestor of the Wang family said in a deep voice with an extremely ugly face. He had heard Zhao Weio play Guangling San, and the sound of the piano was far worse than the current one. He didn't understand when there was such a strong melody in the East China Sea. The strong men of the other four major families also turned very unsightly. This proves that there is a very powerful rhythm expert helping Lu Ting, which is not good news for them. Ding dong. While everyone was shocked, the piano sound continued, with Xi'an Island as the center. It spreads to the surroundings, where the sound of the piano passes. Cranes dance lightly, flowers and plants bloom, and birds and beasts leap for joy. It's just that the sound of the piano, which is like the sound of heaven, is like the sound of hell to the patriarch of the Wang family and others, which is extremely terrifying. Calm down, don't listen to the sound of the piano. The patriarch of the Wang family shouted. This person must have used some kind of secret technique to play such a terrifying piano sound. Just let us carry it over. Hastily protected his body with spiritual energy, trying to isolate the sound of the piano. The same is true for the ancestors of the Qin family on the edge of Leihai. It's a pity that they underestimated the power of this piano sound too much. Boom. The sound of the piano instantly shattered the body-protecting aura of the ancestors of the Qin family. Not only that, but also let the spiritual energy in their bodies start to wreak havoc, constantly impacting their meridians. What? Each of these people screamed in pain. Their faces were distorted, and they completely lost their combat effectiveness. But with their appearance like this, no one from Lu Qingzhu and the others did anything, because Lu Qingzhu and the others didn't know whether the person who played the piano wanted the patriarch of the Wang family to die, or what. They were afraid that they would disobey the other party's wishes. Senior, spare me. I am willing to dedicate everything in the Qin family to you. The ancestor of the Qin family knelt down on the ground in horror, begging for mercy. The powerhouses of the other big families also knelt on the ground, crying and begging for mercy, willing to donate all their property. However, the sound of the piano did not stop. It continued. Pft. Puff. The ancestors of the Qin family and the others finally couldn't take it anymore, and they exploded to death one by one, being torn apart by the aura in his body. Like blood-colored fireworks, they bloomed in the sky. Seeing this scene, all the practitioners here were shocked. They have only heard the legend that a strong man with the same melody, half of Guangling San, repelled thousands of troops, and today they really saw how terrifying this Guangling San is. After the ancestor of the Qin family was killed, the sound of the piano still did not stop and continued to play. Crack. The dilapidated small cauldron suspended above Qin Zining, suppressing her, shattered directly under the sound of the piano, like porcelain, and scattered pieces into the sea one by one. Boom, boom. In the sea of thunder, where the sound of the piano passed, the thunder shattered and did not continue to strike Lu Ting, who was crossing the robbery, was even more shocked when he heard the sound of the piano and saw this scene. No one knows the horror of this thunder disaster better than him. He can only block the thunder, and the sound of the other party's piano shattered thunder easily. This is too scary, isn't it? This heavenly sound of the piano not only helped Lu Ting and Qin Zining, but even some people felt like wanting to break through after hearing the sound of the piano, so they sat cross-legged in mid-air and listened carefully. The entire sea area was originally tense, but now it is surprisingly peaceful. Everyone stays in place quietly, as if time and space have stopped. The sound of the piano came from the cliff, and all those with strong rhythms could hear it. It stands to reason that with such a character appearing, they should eagerly go to the cliff to see who is playing, but now they did not take any action. He felt that he would have no regrets in this life to hear such fairy voices, and he didn't dare to be distracted. It's all about comprehending the sound of the piano carefully. After a long time, the sea of thunder dissipated in the sky, and the sound of the piano also gradually ended. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, dozens of people broke through the realm. Terrible aura fluctuations were released from the body. They were all very pleasantly surprised, and they were very grateful to those who played Guangling San. This song should only exist in the sky. How many times can we hear it in the world? After the sound of the piano completely disappeared, someone finally expressed emotion. It feels like this is the fairy sound in the rumors. Am I dreaming? Lu Qingzhu, who came back to his senses, looked at everything around him, feeling extremely unreal. With the four major families joining forces, with so many strong people, she was already desperate. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be a ray of piano sound in the end, turning the tide. The melody is so terrifying and astonishing. Qin Zining couldn't help but marvel, and said, I heard that the emperor is very talented in rhythm. Will he grow to such a terrifying level in the future? Under the sound of the piano, she also broke through. In one fell swoop, he reached the middle stage of the second heaven of Zifu realm. She really felt the power of the rhythm, which not only can kill the enemy thousands of miles away, but also assist in breakthroughs. It feels like it can stand shoulder to shoulder with Kendo. Qin Zining originally thought that Qin Feng's playing was not good, but now she thinks that in the future, she should encourage Qin Feng well and not say anything bad. Have you noticed that the Guangling San played by that senior just now is not just the first part? Could it be that he completed the second part by himself? The strong man with a rhythm couldn't help but say. Then the next chapter and the first chapter are a perfect combination. If it wasn't for the second chapter of Guangling San, it would have been lost long ago. Without any news, I would suspect that he played the original song of Guangling San. Exclaimed voices sounded one after another. They all found it unbelievable and too shocking. The location where the sound of the piano is coming from should be on the cliff. Hurry up and have a look. Someone spoke. As soon as this remark came out, many rhythm experts also reacted, and flew towards the cliff. Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The man with the strong rhythm saved our Lu family just now. We must thank him well. At this time, Lu Ting had come to Lu Qingzhu's side, and said slowly, originally, even if no one disturbed him, if he wanted to survive the thunder disaster, he would still be seriously injured, but because the sound of the piano shattered thunder, he is now unscathed. Kindness. Lu Qingzhu nodded solemnly. Afterwards, he and the other strong men of the Lu family also flew towards the cliff one after another. In front of the cliff, the lingering sound lingered and gradually dissipated. Qin Feng put the sapphire guqin away again, and at this time, Zhao Wuyo also recovered from the sound of the piano. He looked at Qin Feng in disbelief. You have already mastered the entire chapter of Guangling San. Zhao Wuyo, whose vitality continued to dissipate, had a look of disbelief on his face. With his attainments in rhythm, it is natural to hear that what Qin Feng played was the complete Guangling San, and it was impossible for Qin Feng to complete it himself. He never imagined that a deposed prince of the great Xia royal family had mastered the entire rumored Guangling San. Not only that, Qin Feng obviously didn't have any aura fluctuations on his body, but when he played just now, the aura he displayed was definitely a strong one. All of this greatly exceeded Zhao Wuyo's expectations. A fluke. Qin Feng said slowly. Hiss. Zhao Wuyo couldn't help but gasped, shocked. Playing today, I would like to express my gratitude to the seniors for teaching me a lot of profound meanings of rhythm during this time. Qin Feng said slowly, the passing of Zhao Wuyo's vitality could no longer be stopped, and he had nothing to do. My greatest wish in this life is to complete Guangling San. Zhao Wuyo sighed and said, it's a pity that my temperament attainment is far from reaching that level. But today I can listen to you play an original song of Guangling San, and I will die without regret. In the future, your attainments in rhythm will definitely surpass all people in the past and present. He really felt so in his heart. Some time ago, Qin Feng memorized Guangling San in such a short period of time. Although it shocked him, Qin Feng can only be regarded as a genius who has not yet grown up. The future is full of variables, and the future is unknown, but now Qin Feng actually played the complete Guangling San in just a few days, which can only be described as the talent of heaven. Senior has been awarded. Qin Feng said with a smile. Someone should be here soon. At this moment, Zhao Wuyo looked into the distance, then retracted his gaze, and said slowly, you must not be the kind of person who likes trouble, you should leave first. After a few days of contact, he also had a little understanding of Qin Feng. Kindness. Qin Feng nodded, and then said slowly, since that's the case, I won't send Senior off for the last time. Afterwards, he didn't continue to stay here, he took a step, left here, and walked towards the cliff, and Qin Feng had just walked less than 10 breaths, Lu Ting and the others had already rushed to the place where the cliff was. It's just that there is no strong rhythmic person they imagined here, only Zhao Wuyo who is about to sit down and lose his vitality. Senior, did you play the Guangling San just now? After seeing Zhao Wuyo, Lu Ting immediately couldn't help but stepped forward and said, at the same time, inject the spiritual energy in his body into Zhao Wuyo's body to help him delay the dissipation of his vitality. All other eyes fell on Zhao Wuyo. Although they all felt just now that the strong melody player who played Guangling San had a much better understanding of Guangling San than Zhao Wuyo, but it does not rule out that Zhao Wuyo had an epiphany before he died. Of course not me. However, Zhao Wuyo shook his head and said with an extremely weak breath. Then may I ask which senior played the Guangling San just now? Lu Ting couldn't help asking, all eyes were focused on Zhao Wuyo, and he held his breath. A man of unrivaled beauty. Zhao Wuyo's eyes were full of hope for the future of Yunlui, and he said slowly with a weak breath, after saying that, the vitality in his body completely dissipated, then it fell into silence. It was because a man with a strong rhythm passed away. It was also because Zhao Wuyo personally said that in the East China Sea, there was indeed a person with musical attainments far above him. It's just a little helpless that Zhao Wuyo obviously didn't want to reveal the identity of that person. Peerless musical genius. A strong man muttered to himself, with a gleam in his eyes, and said, isn't there a rhythm genius recently? In just a moment, I wrote down the entire first chapter of Guangling San. The person Mr. Zhao was talking about, could it be him? As soon as these words came out, many people also thought of Qin Feng, but then someone objected. Are you kidding? Although Qin Feng was able to memorize Guangling San in a very short period of time, and play it roughly, his talent is indeed amazing. However, it is impossible for him to comprehend Guangling San more than Mr. Zhao in the past few days, and continue to write the next chapter of Guangling San. No one in the world can do it. Although the speaker was much younger than Zhao Wuyo, he was of the same generation as Zhao Wuyo, and he was also famous for his strong rhythm. He never thought that that person was Qin Feng, because it was impossible. Senior is right. Not to mention that it is impossible to comprehend Guangling San to this level at all. Even if you really comprehend it, Qin Feng has no cultivation, so he can't play it. That when the other people heard the words, they all nodded, thinking that what he said made sense. The person who spoke at the beginning was a little embarrassed, feeling that he was too young and didn't think about it that much. Afterwards, everyone started talking again and began to speculate continuously. Sigh, that senior is gone, we don't even have a chance to thank him. Lu Ting sighed and said helplessly. Lu Qingzhu and many Lu family elders beside him also shook their heads helplessly. If those strong people don't want to show up, even if they live in their Lu family, they can't find it. What's more, that strong man might just come to say goodbye to Zhao Wuyo, and he might not even be from Donghai, so they wouldn't be able to find him. It would be great if it was really the emperor's uncle. When Qin Zining first heard those people's discussion, she was still a little happy, thinking that maybe the person who played Guangling San was Qin Feng. In that case, her father would have every reason to pardon Qin Feng, and none of the court officials would dare to object. But hearing these strong melodies finally denied that it couldn't be Qin Feng, he shook his head in disappointment. In the following time, the people here gradually dispersed. On the one hand, the Lu family was dealing with the aftermath of the war, and on the other hand, they cooperated with Zhao Wuyo's juniors to hold Zhao Wuyo's funeral. P.S. If you are a holy son of a certain holy land, and you find a peerless genius with natural resources, you will give up the position of holy son for the prosperity of the holy land, and be willing to live under others. Or try to find an opportunity to kill him, keep his position, and prevent him from joining other holy places. By the way. Chapter 78 Concubine Shu, Li Manman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Feng didn't know what the people were talking about at the cliff, and he didn't care too much. After he returned to the cliff, he checked the status of the little white fox. That's right. With the help of the piano sound, the speed of drug absorption has been accelerated. When you absorb this drug effect in the future, you shouldn't need to stay in a deep sleep state. After observing the meridians of the little white fox with his eyes, Qin Feng muttered to himself in satisfaction. Afterwards, he also found a place and sat cross-legged. Start practicing. Playing a song just now is not only of great benefit to other people who hear the sound of the piano, it is even more beneficial to himself. He felt that if he absorbed some spiritual energy, he would almost be able to break through to the second level of the void refining realm. It was only a few years since Qin Feng broke through last time, and he was about to break through again. If the other void refining realm powerhouses who have been in seclusion for hundreds of years would know, I'm afraid I'm dying of envy. In the next few days, what happened on Xi'an Island spread throughout the East China Sea, caused an uproar. The fact that Lu Tinghui was blocked from crossing the robbery was almost guessed by the practitioners in the East China Sea. So many people don't bother to watch it, but they never expected that there would be someone with a strong melody who played a piece of Guangling San, which not only helped Lu Ting successfully overcome the tribulation. Moreover, many practitioners who heard the sound of the piano had some insights, and even directly broke through. This made those who didn't go feel very regretful. If I had known that there was such a strong man with the same temperament, even if I didn't go to pick up the bride, I would go and see it. I missed this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I swear, I will never go to brothels again. Countless people complained and hated themselves for not going to Xi'an Island that day. At the same time, I am envious of those who have obtained the opportunity. Although they didn't know who was playing the Guangling San that day, they knew that such a strong person would never show up easily. After this time, if I want to listen to his piano again, I don't know what year and month it will be. The happiest person at this time is the Lu family. Qin Feng played the Guangling San in Xi'an Island, and the people who benefited the most were naturally the members of the Lu family. In the past few days, many Lu family members have broken through their realm. The strength of the entire Lu family has been greatly improved. Not only that, but all the powerful members of the other big families were killed, and their strength plummeted. After Lu Ting personally went to visit several big families, they have donated most of their properties to the Lu family. And now the Lu family is the largest family in the entire East China Sea. The news spread to the Kanglin territory, and even caused quite a stir. After all, the unified East China Sea is definitely not weaker than any dynasty. However, Lu Qingzhu and many elders of the Lu family had no intention of expanding into the Kanglin domain, and sent letters directly to the sects of the major dynasties. It shows that the Lu family only wants to do business, don't want to expand. In the Imperial study room, after reviewing the memorials for 3 consecutive days, Qin Zhonyan, who summoned his important ministers to discuss state affairs, also received a letter from the Lu family. The Lu family unified the entire East China Sea. Qin Zhonyan looked at the contents of the memorial and was a little stunned. How long is this? The situation in the East China Sea has undergone such an earth-shaking change, which he did not expect. Your Majesty is really wise. Fortunately, some time ago, you let the princess go to the Liu family, and paid homage to the Queen Mother, and won the relationship with the Liu family. The scholar of Wenyuanj couldn't help but praised, saying, otherwise, based on our previous relationship with the Liu family, after they unified the East China Sea, they would definitely not treat us like they do now. Many ministers present also spoke in agreement. Yes. Your Majesty is really clever. Those old princes who once opposed fiercely are now ashamed one by one. In the imperial study room, the other ministers also praised him one after another. One must know that when Qin Jianyan asked Qin Feng and Qin Zining to pay homage to his birth mother, there were not a few old antiques in the royal family who strongly opposed it. However, Qin Jianyan still withstood the tremendous pressure. The current development of the matter also proved that Qin Jianyan was correct. It is not a bad thing to establish a good relationship with the Liu family, one of the 5 major families in the East China Sea. Since the Liu family has expressed their goodwill to us, the teacher should write a letter in person and reply to them. Qin Jianyan said slowly. He didn't have any pride because of the compliments from many ministers, because he knew in his heart that Donghai's current situation was not in his calculations. He asked Qin Feng and Qin Zining to go to Liu's house just because he wanted him to help pay homage to his biological mother, so that Qin Feng could leave the Imperial Mausoleum and relax. It is good. The scholar of Wenyuan Pavilion nodded and said respectfully, then, according to Qin Jianyan's intention, he wrote a reply letter to the Liu family. The Li family in Evergreen City was originally just a little-known family, however, because the patriarch's son, with extraordinary cultivation, made many military exploits in the army, and finally served as the general of Zhenbei 170 years ago, the Li family became one of the most famous families in the Great Xia dynasty. On weekdays, customers are like clouds. It was very lively. But in the past few days, it has been very quiet, and the patriarch thanked the guests behind closed doors. Because his daughter Li Manman, Qin Jianyan's concubine, went home and kissed her, the entire Li family is guarded by heavy soldiers, responsible for protecting Li Manman's safety. Ding dong. The melodious sound of the piano sounded in the luxurious back garden of the Li family. It's just that the emotions contained in it are slightly sad and gloomy. In the small pavilion beside the pond, Li Manman, who can be called stunning in appearance and figure, is playing the piano gently. Although there was no sadness on his face, he was not very happy either. Obviously something was on his mind. The maid next to her stood respectfully aside. After a long time, the sound of the piano gradually subsided. Crack, crack, crack. But at this moment, there was the sound of applause not far away, and it sounded suddenly, which seemed extraordinarily abrupt. Li Manman couldn't help frowning when he heard the applause. She is Qin Jianyan's concubine, here to relax. No one is allowed to enter. Even if his father came to the back garden, he would let the maid come in first to report. How could someone enter this back garden without her permission? However, when Li Manman turned around and saw the man's appearance, his face suddenly changed, and he was extremely shocked. She never thought that this person would dare to appear here. Chapter 79 Ruthless is the most imperial family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. King Jin, looking at the figure in front of him, Li Manman couldn't believe his eyes. He was extremely shocked. He. Concubine Shu is indeed proficient in melody since she was a child. The sound of the piano is really beautiful. King Jin clapped his hands and praised. Concubine Shu is Qin Jianyan's confirmant on Li Manman. Qin Shenzhan, you are so brave. You dared to leave the fief without permission and come here privately. Do you know that this is a capital offense? Li Manman immediately scolded. There was a chill on Xiao's face. According to the rules established by Emperor Taizu, the vassal princes from all over the country were not allowed to leave the fief without the emperor's order. It's fine for King Jin to leave the fief privately, but he dares to come here to meet her. It's a death penalty. If any rumors arise, her reputation will also be lost. Why does concubine Shu need to get angry in such a hurry? Don't you wonder what's the matter with me risking my life to come here? Jin Wang Qin Shenzhan was not afraid, and said with a light smile. Li Manman frowned slightly when she heard this, slightly pondered, and then said, you better have some serious business, you have to come here as a last resort, otherwise, you will be condemned to death. Of course I'm here for something important. Jin Wang Qin Shenzhan said slowly, I'm here to save Concubine Shu's life and the Li family. What are you babbling about? That when Li Manman heard this, her pretty face was covered with frost, and she said, when was I in danger? Why did the Li family ever need your help? That she felt that Qin Shenzhan was playing tricks on herself, and she became even more angry. Hey! Concubine Shu is still too kind, she doesn't understand the royal family's schemes. Jin Wang Qin Shenzhan shook his head when he heard the words, and sighed softly, I don't even know that the disaster is imminent. What exactly are you trying to say? Hearing this, Li Manman's face became even more cold, and he said, why am I in a catastrophe? Concubine Shu really doesn't know. Or don't want to admit it. Jin Wang Qin Shenzhan said slowly, if you really don't know, why are there all gloomy emotions in the sound of the piano just now? You. Li Manman didn't know how to refute when he heard the words. If I remember correctly, Qin Zhonyan accepted you as a concubine because of the intention of the former emperor, and the reason why the former emperor did so is also very simple, because your brother is the great general of Zhenbei. Jin Wang Qin Shenzhan said in a deep voice, only by letting Qin Zhonyan marry you can Qin Zhonyan control the military power and secure the throne in the shortest possible time, but the current Qin Zhonyan seems to have forgotten that the former emperor once clearly said that the position of empress must be given to you. The Zhenbei army needs to resist the invasion of Bai and guard against the demon cult. Among the 4 generals, it has the highest status, the most soldiers and horses, and is also the most important one. Xia Huang asked Qin Zhonyan to marry Li Manman, the most important thing is to consider this aspect. Your Majesty is just busy with government affairs and forgot about it. Li Manman's face was very ugly, and he said coldly. Haha. Do you really believe that Qin Zhonyan was busy with government affairs and neglected this matter? Qin Shenzhan sneered, and said, you actually understand in your heart that the reason why His Majesty has not made you queen for so long is entirely because the demon cult has been wiped out, and the northern suppressing army no longer needs so many soldiers and horses to guard the north. From now on, the status of General Zhenbei will inevitably plummet, and he will be no different from the other 3 generals. And the meaning of making you queen is gone. Qin Zhonyan will definitely establish Concubine Zhao as his queen, because her daughter has a peerless sword body and has a bright future. His every word, like a silver needle, pierced Li Manman's heart, it made Li Manman's complexion extremely pale. What Qin Shenzhan said was all in her mind and worried all day long, however, she dared not tell anyone. Even if His Majesty doesn't want to make me queen, so what? Li Manman tried her best to calm down, refuted Qin Shenzhan, and also comforted herself, saying, I am still His Majesty's concubine, and the Li family will continue to prosper. If you are just an ordinary concubine, even if you are not made a queen, you will indeed be able to spend your life peacefully. After Qin Shenzhan paused, he continued, unfortunately, your own brother is the great General Zhenbei. Your existence may threaten Concubine Zhao's status at any time. It is absolutely impossible for her to let you live. If Concubine Zhao became a queen and had a daughter with a peerless sword body as a talisman, it would not be easy for her to plan to kill you in the harem, and if you are killed, will your brother, your family, still survive? Listening to Qin Xuanshan's continuous analysis, Li Manman's face was extremely pale. My heart flustered. She can accept losing the queen's position, but he couldn't accept that he lost his life, and the Li family was destroyed and buried with him. No. No. Li Manman comforted herself and murmured, Sister Concubine Zhao is virtuous and virtuous, everyone knows that she can't do such vicious things. Is it? Qin Shenzhan sneered, and said slowly, Wuqing is the emperor's family. This is what Emperor Taizu's first wife said. Ruthless is the emperor's family. These words completely broke Li Manman's psychological defense. In the past dynasties, the concubines in the harem conspired to kill each other, but there are countless things. She couldn't put all her hopes on Concubine Zhao's virtue. Uncle Wang just said that he can save me, is it true or not? Li Manman finally couldn't help asking, because of fear and worry, her attitude towards Qin Shenzhan also became respectful. Of course it's true. When Qin Shenzhan saw this, a flash of ridicule appeared in his eyes, and he said, "Otherwise, what am I doing here today? Do you want to see your jokes? Since that's the case, please tell Uncle Wang." Li Manman said quickly. Qin Shenzhan didn't speak directly, but came to Li Manman's side, and put a small jade bottle on the stone table in front of Li Manman where the guqin was placed. Poison Zhao Concubine. Qin Shenzhan paused every word, and said slowly. "What did you say?" A look of horror appeared in Li Manman's eyes. Unexpectedly, Qin Shuanshan's strategy was so vicious. "You will be safe only if Concubine Zhao is dead." After Qin Shenzhan paused, he continued, "Your brother and the Li family will be safe." "Are you crazy? If I kill Concubine Zhao with poison, then I will surely die." Li Manman shouted coquettishly, and said, "At that time, the Li family will definitely be exterminated. Don't worry. No one will find out that you poisoned Concubine Zhao." Qin Shenzhan said slowly, "This narcissus powder is colorless, odorless and non-toxic. It was concocted by the younger brother of Su Shijun, a great scholar in the south. Only after encountering the pollen of the ice spirit flower will it produce deadly poison." Li Manman's face changed when he heard that. Concubine Zhao's favorite flower is the ice spirit flower. This kind of flower only grows in the cold places in the north. When Qin Jianyan visited the north, he specially transplanted a few plants back, only where Concubine Zhao lives. "What do you mean? Let me poison you quietly when there are many people, and then die by poisoning yourself after Concubine Zhao returns?" Li Manman asked in a deep voice. "Yes." Qin Shenzhan said slowly, 3 months later, it will be the Longevity Festival. At that time, His Majesty will entertain all the ministers. Although you and many concubines cannot attend, you still have to prepare the banquet in the harem. After His Majesty entertains the ministers, go to the harem for another banquet. At that time, all the concubines will be present. It is the best time for you to poison. Hearing what Qin Shenzhan said, Li Manman fell into silence, extremely hesitant. She didn't want to take such a big risk, but she didn't want to lose her position as queen and be killed by Concubine Zhao in the end. Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Help me kill Concubine Zhao. What good will it do you? After a long time, Li Manman said coldly, although she didn't know much about King Jin, but I also understand that King Jin will definitely not help her like this for no reason, and must have other purposes. Naturally there are benefits. Jin Wang. Qin Shenzhan said with a light smile, "If Concubine Zhao is dead, then you plan to destroy her 2 sons in the next time, wouldn't it be easy? After your son becomes the crown prince, I will be regarded as a trustworthy person in the court. No matter what kind of national policy Qin Jianyan formulates against the princes, I will know in advance and respond accordingly." He stated his purpose without hesitation, because he knew that if he said that he simply wanted to help Li Manman, then Li Manman would never believe it. "So that's what you wanted." After hearing Qin Shuanshan's purpose, Li Manman also understood why Qin Shenzhan helped her. When Qin Jianyan was still the prince, he was clearly dissatisfied with the domineering vassal kings everywhere, and it was almost inevitable to formulate national policies against the vassal kings in the future. As the most powerful feudal lord, Qin Shenzhan naturally had to make preparations in advance. "How? Can you trust me now?" Qin Shenzhan looked at Li Manman and said calmly. Li Manman was thoughtful, and after hesitating for a moment, he slowly put the small jade bottle into the ring. "Uncle Wang, I won't see you off," she said slowly. Seeing Li Manman accepting the small jade bottle, Qin Shuanshan's abyss-like eyes once again flashed a taunt, turned and left without saying anything. There are heavy guards here, but Qin Shenzhan is a majestic vassal, with countless followers and strong men, so it is easy for him to come and go here quietly, on a small island in the East China Sea that is full of aura, but usually quiet and deserted. It was peaceful and peaceful. Boom boom. But suddenly, an astonishing aura erupted suddenly. The sound of swordsmen resounded through the world. The terrifying kendo breath, centered on the small island, spread to all directions, swept across the sea, and set off huge waves. It was as if an ancient fierce beast appeared in the world. Such an astonishing scene lasted for half an hour. it was slowly calming down. The entire island is full of raging sword intent, and the scene is extremely astonishing. Second level of the Void Refining Realm. Qin Feng muttered to himself, he is quite satisfied with this cultivation speed. He originally thought that with his special physique and huge demand for spiritual energy, after reaching the Void Refining Realm, every time he breaks through a small realm, it would be extremely difficult, but he never thought that the speed is not bad. After the breakthrough, Qin Feng was also ready to leave. He was worried that breaking through at Xi'an Island would cause too much disturbance and be too destructive, so he found a random island to break through. Now that he has successfully broken through, he doesn't plan to stay for a long time. By the way, it seems that I haven't signed in today. Qin Feng suddenly thought of something, stopped and called out the system. System, sign in here for me. As soon as he finished speaking, the system's notification tone sounded in his ears. Ding! Congratulations to the master, you signed in successfully and got a fishing rod. At the same time, there is an extra fishing rod in the system space. The entire fishing rod is green, like emerald jade, and the fishing line is so thin that it is almost invisible. The most special thing is its hook, which is straight, not at all the same as normal fishing rods. Why is it a straight hook? Qin Feng was puzzled. Then check the information of the fishing rod. It is rumored that this fishing rod is the hook used by Jiang Xingren of the Great Zhou dynasty when he was fishing on the shore of the Weishui River. Those who wish to take the bait. The fishing rod used by Sage Jiang. Qin Feng was surprised. Could it be that Jiang Xingren has also been to the East China Sea? He was a little curious. However, the Kanglan region is remote after all, and there are not many records about Jiang Xingren. Most of them are legends, so he didn't know what was going on. With doubts in his heart, Qin Feng left here first, planning to go back to Xi'an Island first, and find a suitable place to fish there. In the next few days, Qin Feng did not continue to play the piano, but started fishing with a fishhook in a place on Xi'an Island, hoping that some volunteers would take the bait. It's just that there is nothing to gain, and there has been no bait to bite the hook. As for the little white fox, although she doesn't need to sleep anymore, she has been absorbing the effects of the sealed medicine and is not suitable for running around, so she has been staying by Qin Feng's side, lying lazily on the rocks by the sea. Let the sea breeze blow yourself. This guy, didn't he realize that he was using a straight hook? The little white fox woke up after a nap, looked at the little fish eating the bait through the clear sea water, and couldn't help complaining, shaking her little head. She was ready to continue sleeping. Shoo! At this moment, in the distant sky, suddenly there was a figure coming with a sword. It was Qin Zining. Although her current cultivation level does not require a sword, she can still fly, but she felt that Yujin flying was in line with the temperament of a sword cultivator, so she still flew Yujin on weekdays. Oops, it's this bad woman. When the little white fox saw Qin Zining, he got up and wanted to leave. However, Qin Zining was even faster, hugging her into his arms with a playful smile, and kneading her recklessly. Although the current little white fox has recovered to the first level of the Luanhai realm, he can't escape from Qin Zining's grasp at all. He, I haven't seen you for 2 days, and your feeling is getting better and better. Qin Zining said to the little white fox with a playful smile. The little white fox immediately had a resentful expression on his face. Although his heart was full of anger, he was not Qin Zining's opponent, so he could only let Qin Zining do his best. She found that this girl, who looked innocent, cute and kind, was actually worse than her uncle. Why did Uncle Huang like fishing? Holding the little white fox in her arms, Qin Zining came to Qin Feng's side. Seeing that Qin Feng was still fishing, she couldn't help asking. If you have nothing to do, just go fishing to cultivate your sentiments. Qin Feng said lightly. Qin Zining nodded thoughtfully, and then said, Uncle Emperor, I should go back. What, are you homesick? Hearing this, Qin Feng asked suspiciously. He was very happy to see Qin Zining playing here. Somewhat unexpectedly, she actually wanted to go back on her own initiative. In more than 10 days, it will be Longevity Day. I want to go back to celebrate my father's birthday. Qin Zining said slowly. Longevity Day is the emperor's birthday. As Qin Junyin's favorite youngest daughter, of course she has to go back to celebrate her birthday. Okay, when you leave, just call me. Qin Feng said lightly. Is the Emperor going back too? Qin Zening heard the words, and immediately said, the Emperor can stay here for a while, and you don't have to go back with me.